This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, students. Today I'm going to start that second unit, that is hydrothermal scheduling. So, in first unit, we seen that how we can make that optimal scheduling within a plant. Suppose if you take that one plant, it consists of a 5 units. Among the 5 units, for scheduling, which unit has to be generate more power than others. So that is only we studied only scheduling in only one unit. That is the one power plant. But in the second unit, we are going to schedule that when two power plants are acting together to deliver the load. So it means that if you want to deliver a particular load, which plant has to be generate more power. In generally, every generating system consists of a combination of two power plants. Because what is the reason means because of economical cost and the fuel availability and load demand. So these are the reasons why two thermal power plants are generating together. So let me take hydro power plant and thermal power plant. When both are combined together, if the two power plants has to be delivered a certain load, but straightforward we can say that instead of thermal power plant, the hydro power plant will more economical than the thermal power plant, because here fuel cost is very less when compared to the thermal. So it is zero, completely zero fuel cost. But based on the efficiency, based on the capacity, we have to be scheduled. When compared to the hydro power plant, thermal power plant has to be more capacity, and hydro power plant is completely depends on that water availability. So when the water is available, at that time only we can generate the power. But in the case of thermal power plant, we can generate the power easily. So there is not depend on the fuel availability, right? It means that it is easily get that fuel for the thermal power plant. But in the case of hydro power plant, when the rainfall will come, at that time the water availability will be more. So that is the difference between first unit and second unit. So in first unit we scheduled among the units in a one plant. Now we are scheduling that two plants. So that is called as hydrothermal scheduling. So that is your second unit. So let me start the class now. And in this class, we are going to discuss these five contents. One is what is the need of optimal scheduling, and what is called as hydrothermal scheduling. It means that what are the parameters we are involving while scheduling the hydrothermal scheduling, and types of hydrothermal scheduling. In that, there are two cases. One is short term and long term. Why a short term and long term means, so there are some certain considerations we have to take. Suppose if it is long term, we have to check that what is the water availability in the dam, and what is the capacity of the reservoir, what is the inflow, what is the outflow. So that has to be considered for long scheduling. And short scheduling, we can get that, we can consider that certain considerations, that is what is the load at a particular day, what is the load particular hour. So that has to be considered. So that's when the type of hydrothermal scheduling here classified into two types: long term scheduling, short term scheduling. And the next one is what is power system optimization. So power system optimization is nothing but within a plant we have to generate the power with a low cost. So how we can possible, and what are the considerations we have to consider. So that is called as optimization, and sometimes related to hydrothermal scheduling. So same what we discussed in the first unit, that is a mathematical procedure. The same thing here also we have to proceed. So what we discussed in first unit. So what is the optimal scheduling without including transmission losses, without transmission losses, including generating limits, not including generator. So these are the some mathematical conditions we are considering. The same thing here also, some mathematical operations will be occurred, and it is completely related to the water discharge, water availability. So based on that, we can form the equation, and that equation is used to the how much of scheduling is occurred between among these two thermal and hydropower plant. So these are the 5 contents we are going to know in this class. Now, generally, the modern power system consists of a large number of thermal and hydro power plants connected at various load centers through a transmission line. So, in present, previous since 10 years, a number of the power system is coupled, power generating with a couple of two power plants. So, most probably, they are considering that thermal hydro power plant, and the main objective of generating station is they have to meet the load with the minimum cost. So they have to generate the power with minimum cost by using the different types of power plants. It means that coupling. Next, therefore, the study of optimal scheduling for power generation at different plants in a power system is high importance. Why? Because if we consider the thermal power plant, hydro power plant, if you're not using the optimal scheduling, there is a waste of cost. So suppose the power demand is 500 megawatt, and by 500 megawatt, by using these two plants, we have to schedule that. Without scheduling, by using equal sharing. So already we did the problem on equal sharing, right? If you do the equal sharing, the cost will be taken more. So that's why optimal scheduling is required for this. That is the importance of optimal scheduling. Next, let me see the already you guys are aware about what is the difference between thermal power plant and hydro power plant based on that running cost, fuel availability, whatever it may be. So let me again I will tell you that the main comparison. So these 4 parameters are involving in the optimal scheduling. The first one is in thermal power plant, fuel is not renewable sources. So one of the most consideration we are considering in the optimal scheduling, because the optimal scheduling is the main agenda is reducing the generating cost. So your cost is mainly depends on that what type of fuel we are using there. And in hydropower, the availability is completely zero because it is freely available. Next, for thermal power plant establishment, it is has the initial cost, less initial cost. For hydro power plant, it has more high initial cost. But in the case of thermal power plant, the operational cost is more. Why? Because the operational cost is include maintenance, labor charges, servicing, whatever. So all considerations is including in the operational cost. But in the case of hydro power plant, the operational cost is very less when compared to the thermal. And in thermal, it produces the air pollution, and second one is it is clean energy sources. These 4 considerations we have to choose that while scheduling that thermal power plant as well as hydro power plant. Out of these two, we have to concentrate more concentration on hydro power plant. Why? Because these are the 4 advantages having when compared to the thermal power plant. But we can't able to depends completely on hydro power plant. Why? Because here the thermal power plant having that capacity within a short time it will gain its synchronous speed. But in the case of hydro power plant, it is not possible. It will take time. So that is the some considerations, some reasons are there why thermal power plant is more efficient than hydro power plant. What are the how the units are attain its speed within a time like that. So this is the most comparison between these two plants, and these conditions is used for the optimal scheduling. Next, so how we can schedule the hydrothermal scheduling and what is important? Generally, the operating cost of thermal power plant is very high when compared to the initial cost, right? So when if you observe these two comparison, one plant has the advantage, the same thing is having the drawback of another plant. So if you combine, if you rectify this problem, we need to combine these two plants and power generating to rectify the load demand. So that's why we are combined together. On other hand, the operating cost of hydropower plant is very low. This is the 2 reasons why we are combining, especially these two hydro and thermal power plant. This is the most reason. And due to the low operating cost, in case of hydro power plant, we can operate it is conjunction with thermal plants, which will lead to save fuel. So if you when you want to generate the power by combination of hydro thermal power plant, So most probably we choose that hydropower plant because of its operating cost is low and fuel cost is very less. It is completely zero. So these two considerations is made to choose the hydropower plant is first. After that, we go for thermal scheduling. So that is the reason why we are supposed to choose that hydropower plant. But in the case of hydrothermal scheduling, is a power system optimization problem which gives us idea how to manage hydro and thermal plant combined. So if we want to scheduling this, we can manage that. So when scheduling that, we have to consider that mainly what is the water availability in hydropower plant. That is the main reason. Based on that, we can schedule that among these two plants. So these are the four parameters we can consider while hydrothermal and scheduling. Next, I already told you that the hydrothermal scheduling is classified into two types. One is long range problem and short range problem. It means that if the scheduling is happen for 1 month or 1 year, that is called as long range problem or long range scheduling. If the scheduling is for only 1 day, 1 week, that is called as short range. But what is the difference between these two means? If you consider that a long range problem, in this condition, we have to consider that what is the reservoir capacity, what is the inflow, what is the outflow. We have to consider that. But in the case of short range, at what time, what is the load demand is happened in a particular load, that has to be considered. And how we can rectify this problem is by using the mathematical formulation. So mathematical formulation is only decides that what is the optimal scheduling among these two plants. So in the top mathematical formulation in arithmetic, the equation which belongs to that availability of water and balance equation. So these are the different formulas we are going to use in this thermal scheduling, hydrothermal scheduling. So keep remembering these two types of scheduling we are going to use that hydrothermal scheduling. Next, let me see that. So I just long range problem. So what is the long range problem is? I already told you that it is mainly consideration by forecasting of water availability, reservoir capacity, and so these two parameters are considering while making the long range problem. And this type of scheduling they have to consider that 1 week to 1 year. So that's why it is called as long range. And while scheduling the long range, we have to consider that these two parameters. One is water availability and the reservoir capacity. Next, short range problem. So short range problem or short term scheduling is for 1 day to 1 week. And it involves that hour by hour scheduling. So for example, if you consider 1 day, so 1 day have to 24 hours. In 24 hours, we are separating the three intervals: morning, afternoon, and evening. So when compared to these three intervals, the load should be keep on going to vary. Why? Because in our load side, the bigger loads are industries, hospitals, institutions. So these are the big loads. But well, compared to the operation period, these are different, right? So while we consider the hour by hour scheduling, better we go for a short range problem. So in the short range problem, we have to schedule that at particular hour, which load has to be maximum and which load has to be minimum. So load in the sense agriculture, hospitals, institutions, whatever it may be. So these are called as loads. And one more thing, in such a scheduling, the load, hydraulic inflows, and unit availabilities are assumed known. So, for example, if a hydro power plant having that 3 units and thermal power plant having the 5 units. Now, in that, each unit has a certain capacity, that is maximum capacity. What we have to do while scheduling the short range means we have to schedule that which plant has the more efficiency for generating the power. So at that condition, we can choose that plant. Suppose thermal power plant, we have to use 3 and out of 1. So based on that, we have to schedule that. And how we can schedule means by knowing that what is the performance of a particular unit in a particular plant. And one more thing, an hydropower plant system where the hydraulic system is by far the largest component may be scheduled by economical scheduling. Why? Because This type of scheduling is economically oriented. Why? Because we can reduce the more cost while scheduling the among these two power plants. And these schedules are usually developed to minimize the thermal generation production cost. If you combine the schedule means the most probably we can choose the hydro power plant and automatically we can reduce that what is the cost happened by the thermal power plants. So that is the reason why we are choosing that hydro thermal power plant. So this is about short range problem. Next. So this is the structure of how the both combinedly deliver the load. So this is the bus bar, and this bus bar is combinedly connected to that power delivered from the hydro and power delivered from the thermal power plant. And both combined, they can deliver the load. And this type of problem is minimizing the operation cost. And this short range is problem should be considered based on that what are the performance and efficiency of a particular unit in the plant. So this is about short-term scheduling in the hydrothermal scheduling. Next. So why we need the power system optimization? So mainly what is the different parameters are involving in the optimization? So just now we discussed about in generation oriented. So only in generation point of view, what is the scheduling? What is the optimization scheduling? We can consider what are the different parameters involved. But in the case of total power system is combination of both generation, transmission, distribution. So in the power system automation, there are several conditions, several parameters are involved. So what are the parameters means losses, electrical parameters, and what bus number of buses capacity. So these are the parameters are involving while we optimize in the entire power system. Now mainly the power system is mainly concentration on how we can deliver the load to the customers with minimum cost and minimum losses. So, but it is highly headache for the power system engineers. So they have to deliver the load with the low cost and low losses. But in these two, one is happening, other one is not happening. Why? Because suppose let me consider transmission system. So transmission system is completely depends on that what is the environmental condition. So it is not in our hand. So they have to rectify the process what they are involving in the transmission system. That's why the generation is always generating the power that should be equal to the losses and demand. Then only it is called as energy balanced equation. Now, if you want to find that how much of power they have to be generated, they have to be delivered to the load, it is certainly depends on the these four parameters. Already we studied in the power system analysis. So in the power system, there are three different types of buses. One is slack bus, generator bus, and load bus. In among these three, two parameters are known and two parameters are known. So by using the mathematical operation, we can get the unknown values by using the known values. So that has to be considered here. So these four parameters are also involving in the power system optimization. But in the case of generation optimization, fuel availability, capacity of the plant. But in the case of power system optimization, the real power, reactive power, voltage, phase angle. So these four parameters are also involved. Next. See, after finding that what type of bus we have to be scheduled means, see here, if the specified variables are varied within their constraints that cause an infinite number of load bus. Suppose if we take that Q value, that is reactive power is keep on changing based on the load demand. That's why the Q value is always within the certain limits. But in the case of real power is always constant in the transmission line. But the only changes occur in the reactive power. Why? Because we are using the inductive loads, inductive components in the load side, and these are the different load capacities. So that's why we have to use that FACTS devices to compensate the reactive power in the transmission system. And each value of load flow solution related to one set of specified variables. So after by using these four parameters, we have to mark a load flow solution, and this equation will give that specified value of real power and reactive power. Based on this power equation, we can generate that what is the requirement of from the load, and the optimal choice is that values of specified variables for which gives best load solution. And after finding the after finding that load scheduling, that it makes that optimal and economical system operation. It predominantly depends on the best operation load flow solution. So it means that the scheduling is the process of involving both at generation side as well as transmission side. So we can say complete in power system side. And while scheduling the optimization, we have to consider that load flow equation is also one of the parameter here. What is the reason is if you did this optimization, then you can reduce the losses here. So why? Because our power balance equation is generation equals to losses plus demand, right? So most probably we have to reduce these losses. How we can reduce the losses? By maintaining the real power, reactive power at constant within a predetermined values. So that should be happened by the load flow solution. Next, optimal unit commitment. So optimal unit commitment, why we can use means, suppose if the plant has that 5 units, but for for uh, for attaining the load demand, the 5 units should not be run. So there is no need to necessity of 5 units have to be run. If the 5 units are running, then it will make the more cost. See here, the unit commitment is the process to determine that the units of plant that should be operated for a particular load. Suppose at morning only 3 units are to be run, at evening 2 units. So we have to be make that. Why? Because for economical point of view, there is not good for all running all units available at the time. So this is the main reason. So for economical point of view, we can't able to run the all unit at all time. So we have to run the units based on that. What is the load demand happening in the load side? Based on that, we have to schedule. So that's what we did in the first unit. And so it is an optimal approach in which the most efficient unit is loaded first. So out of 5 units, we know that what is the maximum capacity and what is the minimum capacity. So based on the performance, we can choose that efficient unit. So see the point. It is an optimal approach in which that the most efficient unit is loaded first and then followed by the least efficient. So why? Because if the efficient is low, the quality of the power is not good, and we can't able to rectify the load demand. And it is very difficult to find economical combination of units to meet a particular load demand, as it is highly time consuming process. So it is really happening that it is highly impossible to scheduling that within a plant. Why? Because our load is not constant, so we can't able to say it is a constant time period. Suppose if you take this today scheduling of 3 intervals, the same scheduling not common in tomorrow. Why? Because the load should not be constant. So we have to keep on to maintain. So it should be 7 into 24 hours calculation we have to bring by that, because the load should not be constant at any time. And to determine the combination which has to be least operating cost, we used to supposed to use that. See, in the case of units, we have to choose the efficient unit. In the case of plant, we have to use that least operating cost. So, when compared to the thermal hydro power plant, the hydro power plant has that least operating cost. That's why while scheduling the operation, we supposed to choose that hydro power plant is firstly. After that, we can choose the thermal power plant, because this is the reason. It has the least operating cost. Next, economic load dispatch. So the main economic load dispatch is completely related to the cost. So the main objective of economic load dispatch is to reduce the cost that was happened by the power generation. Under this, what we have to do means, first of all, we have to make the equation with respect to the cost. So for particular generation, how much of cost is to be happened. After that, we have to make that incremental fuel cost derivation. That is, we have to differentiate. So at what we have to minimize the losses means, by differentiating the cost equation, we can get that economical load. So that is called as economical load dispatch. So for economical load dispatch, we have to differentiate that cost equation. And after this, and the value should be obey this power balance equation. See here, the total power generation is the summation of total load demand plus losses. So this economic dispatch should obey this equation. Then only it is called as economical load dispatch. Next, incremental production cost. So that's what we discussed now. So incremental production cost is that what when generating the power, we have to consider that different parameters. That is, what is the fuel cost and what is the labor, what we have to pay the labors. So these are all considered the total cost of the power generation. Now, if a plant consists of a number of units, we have to make that all units together. Then we can calculate the final total cost. And before finding the total cost, we have to find the individual cost of the plant. So this is the cost equation having the one plant having the number of units 1, 2, 3 up to here. So here I is given by 1, 2. So number of plants. But in the case of thermal and hydro scheduling, if you want to scheduling it among the power plants, then the number of plants has to be considered here. So that is the total cost of thermal power plant and hydro power combined. So firstly, we have to estimate that what is the cost should be happening while for the generating cost, and while estimating the cost, we have to consider that losses also. Why? Because we already done the problems on the previous unit. Is that we are considering the two cases. One is with transmission loss, without transmission loss. So then only we can compare that on in what case how much of cost will be occur. So based on this condition, we can estimate that what is the loss of cost will be occurring in the generating station. So this is the cost equation. We can find that based on that what is the cost should be happening for the power generation. Next. So that is the incremental fuel cost. After that, we have, so this is the power demand, power balance equation, right? So this is the power generation. By using the lambda, we can find that what is the particular power from the particular unit, right? So this is the equation. We can use that. What is the total power generation happen in the entire power plant? And this is given by PG. So here PG or PA, whatever it may be, and this should be equal to that load demand including losses. And how we can make this, how we can find that this value means by using that Lagrange optimization technique, that is this one. So we have considered the two cases, right? One is Lagrange multiplication is differentiated with respect to the P and with respect to the lambda. That should be given by the Lagrange multiplication. And final that we can find that what is the lambda at particular case. After scheduling, we can get that absolute value of lambda. That is called as coordination equation without losses is given by the lambda. Next, optimal scheduling of hydrothermal system. So now, if you want to scheduling that hydrothermal, so until now we discussed what are the formulas we have to consider. One is cost and what is the power generation for a particular unit. After that, we have the parameters should obey that energy balance equation. Then only the lambda value will be correct. So after finding that, if we so that is only for one power plant. Now, if we combine the scheduling for the two power plants, what we will see that operation of the system having both hydro and thermal plant is very complex method. Why? Because these two are different in the form of availability of fuel, availability of based on the working condition, based on the location. So this is completely different. And see here, different in the sense, here the fuel cost is zero, here the most fuel cost. It consists of less operation cost, it consists of more operating cost. So this is the different. While two different power plants are combined together, then operation is composite method. So why? Because at what condition which plant to be generate the power, so the scheduling is very complexity. If you want to rectify this complexity, we perform static optimization when the plant is thermopower plant. So here we are going to use two optimization techniques. One is static and dynamic. For thermopower plant, we go for static optimization. For hydropower plant, we go for dynamic optimization. But hydrothermal scheduling is dynamic optimization. Why? Because it is a combination of both hydro and thermal. So it is called a hybrid system. And due to this water constraint, that is our water availability is the one more constant. So dynamic అనేది ఎప్పుడు ఉంటామంటే ఏ పారామీటర్ అయితే అది మన చేతిలో ఉండదు. So it is not completely depends on the others. So దాన్ని డైనమిక్ ఆపరేషన్ అంటారు. ఇప్పుడు స్టాటిక్ అనుకోండి, స్టాటిక్ అనుకుంటే అది వచ్చేసి ఇండిపెండెంట్ అన్నమాట, ఓకేనా. But in the case of hydropower plant, it is dependent on the water availability. That's why we go for dynamic optimization on the hydrothermal scheduling. So it చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో డైనమిక్ ఆప్టిమైజేషన్ ఎందుకు హైడ్రోథర్మల్ షెడ్యూలింగ్ తీసుకున్నామంటే డ్యూ టు దట్ వాటర్ కన్స్ట్రెంట్, అంటే వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ ఉంది కాబట్టి, అంటే వాటర్ బేస్ చేసుకుని మనం పవర్ జనరేట్ చేయగలుగుతాం. వాటర్ లేకపోతే ఏం చేయలేం కదా. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్. అండ్ there are basically three types of hydroelectric plant, but we use storage type because optimization possible in storage type, okay na. So ikkada chudandi, there are basically three types of hydroelectric plant, but we use storage type because optimization possible in storage type. Endukante మనకు హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ డిఫరెంట్ టైప్స్ ఉన్నాయి. స్టోరేజ్ టైప్, పంప్డ్ హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్, ఓకేనా. దాన్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటే స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ ఉండే దాంట్లోనే ఎక్కువ ఆప్టిమైజేషన్ పాసిబుల్ అవుతుంది. సో ఎందుకంటే విత్ హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ హ్యావింగ్ ద స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ, దెన్ ఇట్ హ్యాస్ టు బి జనరేట్ మోర్ పవర్ దాన్ అదర్స్. ఇప్పుడు పంపుడ్ అనుకోండి, సో ఇట్స్ కెపాసిటీ విల్ బి లెస్ వెన్ కంపేర్డ్ టు స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ, ఓకేనా. సో అందుకని ఆప్టిమైజేషన్ టెక్నిక్స్ లో స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ ఉండే హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటాం. Next, so this is the overview of how the both combination of hydro and thermal power plant will be delivered to the load. See here, in thermal power plant, there is no need to consider any constraint. That is what is the availability of fuel or whatever it may be. But in the case of hydro power plant, we have to check what is the water flow into the turbine and what is the discharge. Why? Because the hydro power plant has the responsibility to generate the electricity, as well as they have to be give the water to the agriculture. So while considering these two parameters, we have to schedule the hydro power plant. But in the case of thermal power plant, there is no, so if we spend the more cost, then we can buy the fuel, no problem. But in the case of hydro power plant, we have to consider these two parameters. One is how much of water we have to use that electricity generation, and how much of water we have to spend for agriculture purpose. And in this mathematical operation, we are choosing that two equations in the hydro power plant. One is what is the water flow. So this is water inflow makes one mathematical equation. At the same time, water discharge also makes one mathematical equation, and power generation. So totally, it will happen the three mathematical formulation. By using these three mathematical operation, we can schedule that hydrothermal scheduling. So let's see how the equations are forming and what are the parameters involved in that equation. See, this mathematical formulation is called as hydrothermal scheduling problem formulation. Most important question for your external exam. Okay na? So ఏమడుగుతుంటే explain about mathematical modulation of hydrothermal scheduling అంటారు. ఓకేనా. సో ఈ ఫార్ములేషన్ మనం 3 ఈక్వేషన్స్ ని యూజ్ చేస్తాం. ఒకటి వాటర్ ఇన్ఫ్లో, వాటర్ డిశ్చార్జ్, పవర్ జనరేషన్. సో ఈ 3 ఈక్వేషన్ బేస్ చేసుకొని we can formulate that mathematical model for a hydro power plant. Now for formulating the mathematical operation, we need to some certain conditions. What are the conditions means, for a certain period of operation, that is time period, for 1 year, 1 month, 1 day, depending upon the requirement, it is assumed that అంటే మనకు ఆపరేషన్ అంటే షెడ్యూల్ చేస్తాం కదా. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ లో 5 యూనిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి. ఈ 5 యూనిట్స్ లో 3 యూనిట్స్ అనేవి ఎన్ని రోజులు వర్క్ అవ్వాలి, 2 యూనిట్స్ అనేవి ఎన్ని రోజులు రన్ అవ్వాలి, 4 యూనిట్స్ ఎన్ని రోజులు రన్ అవ్వాలి. సో ఈ విధంగా మనం షెడ్యూల్ చేయాలి. సో దేన్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని షెడ్యూల్ చేయొచ్చు అంటే, ఒకటి స్టోరేజ్ ఆఫ్ హైడ్రో రిజర్వాయర్ అట్ ద బిగినింగ్ అండ్ ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద పీరియడ్. అంటే 1 ఇయర్ వేసుకున్నాం అనుకోండి, 1 ఇయర్ స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి ఎండింగ్ వచ్చేదానికి వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ ఎలా ఉంది, పెరిగిందా తగ్గిందా. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 100 మెగావాట్స్ కి ఎంత వాటర్ కన్సమ్ జరుగుతుంది, సో అదంతా చెక్ చేసుకుంటారు. సో దట్ ఇస్ ద ఫస్ట్ కన్సిడరేషన్. సెకండ్ వచ్చేసి వాటర్ ఇన్ఫ్లో టు ద రిజర్వాయర్ అండ్ లోడ్ డిమాండ్. అంటే మనకు లోడ్ డిమాండ్ కి వాటర్ ఇన్ఫ్లో కి రెండు ఈక్వల్ గా ఉన్నాయా లేదా చూడాలి. ఓకేనా, ఎందుకంటే మనకు రెండు తెలుసు. సపోజ్ ఇప్పుడు ఒక రిజర్వాయర్ లో వాటర్ ఇన్ఫ్లో ఎలా ఉందని కనుక్కున్నామంటే దాని యొక్క మెజర్మెంట్స్ చూసాం. సో ఇన్ని ఫీట్స్ వాటర్ ఉంది, సో వీ కెన్ క్యాల్కులేట్ దట్. అండ్ అట్ ది సేమ్ టైమ్ వీ నో ద వాట్ ఇస్ ద లోడ్ డిమాండ్ అట్ పర్టికులర్ ఏరియా. సో ఇప్పుడు మనకు రెండు తెలిసినప్పుడు దెన్ వీ కెన్ ఈజీలీ formulate that what is the load demand for with respect to the water availability. And this problem is determined by using that Q of T, that is water discharge. ఓకేనా. సో వాటర్ డిశ్చార్జ్ అంటే డ్యామ్ నుంచి ఎంత వాటర్ అనేది ఇన్ఫ్లో అవుతుంది, ఈ ఇన్ఫ్లో అనేది పవర్ డిమాండ్ కి ఈక్వల్ అవుతుందా లేదా. ఇప్పుడు పవర్ డిమాండ్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటే ఎక్కువ ఇన్ఫ్లో కావాలి, అంటే ఎక్కువ ఫ్లో కావాలి. సపోజ్ మనకు ఒక 10 గేట్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి, పవర్ డిమాండ్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటే 10 గేట్స్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తారు. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద పవర్ డిమాండ్ ద గేట్స్ విల్ బి ఓపెన్, దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫ్లోమెంట్ విల్ బి డిపెండ్స్. అండ్ ఈ విధంగా ఉన్నప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే వీ కెన్ మినిమైజ్ ద కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ థర్మల్ జనరేషన్. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు మనం కంప్లీట్ గా హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ పైన డిపెండ్ అయినాం కాబట్టి థర్మల్ జనరేషన్ అనేది తగ్గుతుంది. సో వీ కెన్ మినిమైజ్ ద కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద థర్మల్ జనరేషన్. So these are the initial parameters we have to consider while formulating that hydrothermal scheduling. Next, so first of all we have to choose the cost. Okay na, cost in the sense, suppose మీరు ఒక 1 year కి షెడ్యూల్ చేయాలనుకోండి, 1 year కాస్ట్ ఎస్టిమేట్ చేస్తారు. సో దట్ ఈస్ ఫస్ట్ డే టు టోటల్, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as time period. ఓకేనా. CD is equals to C dash into PGT, అంటే PG1 అంటే plant 1 plant 2. సో ఇవన్నీ సమ్ చేయాలి. దెన్ we can calculate that what is the total cost will be happening at a particular time interval. ఓకేనా. సో దీని నుంచి చేసిన తర్వాత ఇది ఫస్ట్ కన్సిడరేషన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు మనము 3 ఈక్వేషన్స్ ని అవైలబిలిటీ తీసుకుంటాం. సో 3 ఈక్వేషన్స్ ఆర్ యూజింగ్ ఫర్ ద మ్యాథమెటికల్ ఆపరేషన్. వన్ ఈస్ మీటింగ్ ద లోడ్ డిమాండ్. సో లోడ్ డిమాండ్ అని మీట్ అవుతాం లేదు చూడాలి అంటే పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, these two belongs to the generation stations equals to low losses and power demand. So PGT is the power generation by the thermal power plant, PGH is the power generated by the hydro power plant, and power losses, power demand. When all 4 constants should be equal to 0, then we can meet the load demand. ఇలాంటి కండిషన్ లో మనం లోడ్ డిమాండ్ మీట్ చేయగలుగుతాం. అండ్ వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ. సో వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ I already told you that we have to consider the time period at starting to ending. అంటే 1 year అనుకుంటే 365 days కి తీసుకుంటాం. ఆ 365 days లో 3 డిఫరెంట్ సీజన్స్ ఉంటాయి, అంటే 3 months ఆ విధంగా కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటూ వస్తాం. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద పారామీటర్స్ we are considering here. సో వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ అంటే వాటర్ అవైలబిలిటీ అనేది ఇన్ఫ్లో ఎంత ఉంది, అవుట్ఫ్లో ఎంత ఉంది. సో దీన్ని బేస్ చేసుకుని ఎంత వాటర్ అనే అవైలబిలిటీ ఉందో ఇక్కడ చూసుకుంటాం. హియర్ J of T is a inflow parameter, Q of T is a discharge parameter. By using these two parameters we can calculate that what is the water availability in the hydro power plant. Next one, third one is this one. That is it means that the power generation of hydro power plant is completely depends on that water discharge. అంటే మనకు సపోజ్ ఇది డ్యామ్ అనుకోండి. సో ఇక్కడ వాటర్ అనేది ఎంత వస్తుంది అనేది ఇన్ఫ్లో పైన డిపెండ్ అవుతుంది. But మన పవర్ డిమాండ్ అనేది దేనిపై డిపెండ్ అయిందంటే ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ద ఇన్ఫ్లో, ఇట్ ఇస్ కంప్లీట్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ద డిశ్చార్జ్. అంటే ఇక్కడ డ్యామ్ నుంచి ఎంత వాటర్ అయితే కిందకి ఫాలో అవుతుందో దాని తగ్గట్టుగా మనం పవర్ జనరేట్ చేయగలుగుతాం. దట్ ఈస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ కంప్లీట్లీ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ద డిశ్చార్జ్ పారామీటర్, దట్ ఈస్ క్యూ ఆఫ్ టీ. ఓకేనా. తర్వాత ఎక్స్ ఆఫ్ టీ అనేది అంటే వాటర్ స్టోరేజ్. సో ఇప్పుడు క్యూ అంటే ఎంత వరకు డిశ్చార్జ్ అయ్యేది అని దేనిపైన డిపెండ్ ఉంటుంది, స్టోరేజ్ పైన డిపెండ్ ఉంటుంది. సో దట్స్ వై ద పవర్ జనరేషన్ ఆఫ్ హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ ఇస్ కంప్లీట్లీ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ద కెపాసిటీ ఆఫ్ స్టోరేజ్ అండ్ డిశ్చార్జ్ కెపాసిటీ. ఈ రెండు పారామీటర్ బేస్ చేసుకొని మనము హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ నుంచి ఎంత పవర్ జనరేట్ చేయగలుగుతాం చూపిస్తాం అన్నమాట. అండ్ సో ఆఫ్టర్ ఫైండింగ్ దిస్ we have to update that values based on the different intervals. Our intervals is delta t to denote చేస్తారు. ఓకేనా. So these three problems we are using for mathematical modulation of hydrothermal scheduling. Next, so we will see that different so deeply how we can calculate that at particular intervals. So here I am taking that m intervals. Suppose m intervals means 6 months కానీ 12 months కానీ దీని ఇంటర్వల్స్ అంటారు. ఓకేనా. సో ఫస్ట్ ఏంటంటే పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ సాటిస్ఫై చేయాలి. అంటే ఒక థర్మల్ పవర్ ప్లాంట్ నుంచి 6 months వరకు ఎంత పవర్ జనరేట్ జరుగుతుంది, అలాగే హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్. సో వెన్ ద పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ is satisfy this load demand, then it is reaches that economical dispatch. ఓకేనా. సో ఇది మనం దీన్ని పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ అంటారు. ఓకేనా. ఒక షెడ్యూల్ చేయాలంటే ఈ 3 స్టెప్స్ మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. ఒకటి వచ్చేసి పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్, సెకండ్ వచ్చేసి కాస్ట్, థర్డ్ వచ్చేసి డిశ్చార్జ్ అండ్ స్టోరేజ్. సో ఈ 3 యూజ్ చేసుకుంటే మన షెడ్యూల్ అనేది మెయింటైన్ చేయగలుగుతాం. So here in this equation the parameters are like this. So PMGD is a thermal generation in the mth interval. Mth interval అంటే 6 months. So here m is the number of months. Okay na. And this is hydro power plant. And PL, that is transmission loss. So transmission loss is completely depends on the B coefficient. So ఇక్కడ మీకు లాస్ట్ యూనిట్ లో B coefficients గురించి విన్నారు. That is given by the cross formula. ఓకేనా. ఈ B coefficient అంటే ఏం వాల్యూ ఇస్తుందంటే జనరల్లీ ద ట్రాన్స్మిషన్ లైన్స్ ఇస్ నాట్ కాన్స్టెంట్ డిస్టెన్స్. అంటే కొన్ని లాంగ్ ట్రాన్స్మిషన్ లైన్స్ ఉంటాయి, కొన్ని షార్ట్ ఉంటాయి, కొన్ని మీడియం ఉంటాయి. సో కొన్ని దానికి వోల్టేజ్ కెపాసిటీ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది, కొన్ని వోల్టేజ్ కెపాసిటీ తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇప్పుడు మనము వీటన్నిటిని కలిపేసి ఈక్వల్ గా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలంటే వీ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ టు ఫార్ములేట్ దట్ మ్యాట్రిక్స్ ఫార్మ్. సో ఆ మ్యాట్రిక్స్ ఫార్మ్ చేయాలంటే వీ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ టు ఫైండ్ దట్ పవర్ లాస్ ట్రాన్స్మిషన్ లాస్ ఫార్ములా by using the B coefficients that was given by the Kranz formula. Okay na. And PD is the load demand in the nth interval. So this is the first equation we have to formulate while scheduling the hydrothermal scheduling. Next, so this is the second equation, and this equation is completely depends on that what is the storage capacity of the hydro power plant and what is the inflow and what is the outflow. These 3 parameters are involving in the water continuity equation. అంటే వాటర్ కంటిన్యూటీ ఎప్పుడు ఉంటుందంటే ఎప్పుడైతే ఇన్ఫ్లో కంటిన్యూగా ఉండేస్తే స్టోరేజ్ అలాగే ఉంటుంది. సో స్టోరేజ్ ఉండడం వల్ల మనం డిశ్చార్జ్ అనేది చేసుకోగలుగుతాం. వన్స్ ద ఇన్ఫ్లో ఇస్ స్టాప్, సో ద స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ విల్ బి రెడ్యూస్డ్ అండ్ డిశ్చార్జ్ ఆల్సో. అంటే ఈ 3 పారామీటర్స్ అనేవి ఒకదాని మీద ఒకటి డిపెండ్ అయి ఉంటది. ఓకేనా. సో దట్స్ వై వి ఫార్ములేట్ దిస్ ఈక్వేషన్ లైక్ దిస్. Here in this the first term is called as water storage at the end of mth interval. Okay na. So for example ఒక హైడ్రో పవర్ ప్లాంట్ యొక్క కెపాసిటీ వచ్చేసి 1000 ఫీట్స్ అనుకున్నాం. ఓకే నా. 1000 ఫీట్స్ ఈక్వల్స్ టు దాని తగ్గట్టుగా ఎంత పవర్ జనరేట్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో కాల్డ్ as ఫ్యూయల్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ అంటారు. ఓకేనా. సో పవర్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్ మనం లాస్ట్ ఫస్ట్ కేసులో చూసాము, సెకండ్ కేసులో వచ్చేసి ఫ్యూయల్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఈక్వేషన్. And this equation should be depends on the 3 parameters: inflow, storage and discharge. So I mentioned here the particular parameter, and the above equation can be written as like this. So here m is the number of intervals. We can choose from 0 to 12 months. For 2 years, so we just use the 12 months, 24 months like that. So we can't able to use the year wise. Next, third one. So third one is the hydro generation in any subinterval can be expressed as. So ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి ఈ ఇక్కడ దీనిపైన ఇది దేనిపైన డిపెండ్ ఏంటంటే బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద డ్యామ్ కెపాసిటీ. సో డ్యామ్ కెపాసిటీ బేస్ చేసుకుని అంటే డ్యామ్ హైట్ నుంచి డ్యామ్ లొకేషన్ ఏరియా బేస్ చేసుకొని తర్వాత వాటర్ హెడ్ ఎలా ఉంది దాన్ని బేస్ చేసుకుని ఈ ఈక్వేషన్ ఫార్ములేట్ చేస్తాం. ఇందులో H naught is given by that 9.81 to 10 power minus 3. So this is the standard formula, and here H naught dash is the base head. Suppose if it is a dam అనుకోండి, ఇక్కడ base head అనేది it is called as base head. ఓకేనా, దీన్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని based on this base head how much of water should be discharged from the dam. ఓకేనా, so that is the parameters is given by this equation, that is hydro generation in subinterval parameters. Next, last one. This is the last slide in this. After formulating this all terms, that is water, that is power balance equation, fuel balance equation, that is subinterval calculation, it is convenient to choose water discharge in all subintervals except one as independent variable. So ఇప్పుడు మనకు ఇన్ఫ్లో తర్వాత స్టోరేజ్ కెపాసిటీ ఉంది కదా, ఇవి ఇండిపెండెంట్ పెట్టుకొని డిశ్చార్జ్ మాత్రము డిపెండెంట్ వేరియబుల్ గా పెట్టుకోవాలి. వై? బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ కంప్లీట్లీ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ అవర్ హౌ, అంటే మన గేట్స్ ఓపెన్ చేసే దాన్ని బట్టి డిశ్చార్జ్ కెపాసిటీ అనేది పెరుగుతుంది అనమాట. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ డిపెండెంట్ ఆన్ ద హ్యూమన్ ఇంటర్వెన్షన్. ఓకేనా, సో అందుకని మనము డిఫరెంట్ ఇంటర్వెల్స్ లో మనం వాటర్ డిశ్చార్జ్ ని క్యాల్కులేట్ చేయాలి. సో హియర్ ద Q is the water discharge parameter, and this water discharge should be makes at what interval how much of water should be discharged, and this is given by this equation. And here X naught is the final water storage and Xm is the initial water storage. So by using this equation we can examine that at different intervals what is the water discharge from the dam. Now here Q is chosen as a dependent variable. It is completely depends on the humans. So మనం గేట్స్ కనుక ఓపెన్ చేస్తే ఆ వాటర్ అనేది ఎంత డిశ్చార్జ్ అనేది వస్తుంది అన్నమాట. So this is about hydrothermal scheduling in the power system. So ఈ హైడ్రోథర్మల్ పవర్ షెడ్యూలింగ్ గురించి మీకు మెటీరియల్ నీట్ గా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాను. ఓకేనా, సో దీనిపైన ఇంకా 2 టాపిక్స్ ఉన్నాయి, అంటే షార్ట్ టర్మ్ లాంగ్ టర్మ్ ఎలా క్యాల్కులేట్ చేస్తాం. సో దాని తర్వాత వచ్చేసి సో అడిగి సెకండ్ యూనిట్ లో పార్ట్ ఏ అయిపోతుంది. సో నెక్స్ట్ పార్ట్ బి వచ్చేసి మోడలింగ్ ఆఫ్ టర్బైన్ స్పీడ్ గవర్నింగ్ సిస్టమ్. సో దట్ ఈస్ కంప్లీట్లీ డెరివేషన్ పార్ట్. ఓకేనా, సో మీకు సెకండ్ యూనిట్ నుంచి కన్ఫర్మ్ గా వచ్చే క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే explain about hydrothermal scheduling mathematical formulation. So it is gunshot question from the second unit. Okay now, so just go through that material that was given by me. If you have any doubts, just ask me in tomorrow class. So I'm going to end up this class now. Thank you.